How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and today we're doing some major surgery to my cheap Lamborghini Gallardo Spider. Keep in mind, this car, when it was brand new, cost $200,000, so no pressure. So for those of you new to my channel, thank you very much for showing up. Hope you guys like it, subscribe if you like what you see. For those of you who are not new to my channel and you've seen my last build video, thank you very much for not telling me that I had a twig in my hair for the entire last portion of the video. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. Nobody let me know in the comments, but I found it on editing and you guys seemed pretty okay with it, so maybe that's a new fashion style, who knows. This is my 2008 Lamborghini Gallardo Spider. It's the cheapest one in the country. I bought it for $64,000. It has a 6-speed manual, it has a twin turbo kit, has a built engine, and it has a lot of faults. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to make the transmission, which does not really work all that well. Actually, the transmission works, it's just the clutch. I'm having an issue with the clutch. It doesn't actually disengage and engage like it's supposed to. We are going to diagnose that by taking off the transmission. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that this car, while I can put it in gear when it's off, when it's on, I can't put it in gear and the wheels don't move. I can definitely try to put it in gear and then start the car and have the wheels move. I don't really think that's necessary just because I was going over the engine and the fuel lines actually, they're a little loose. Yeah, I don't like how loose they are. So I want to redo the fuel system before I turn on the engine again. And I also don't want to mess up any synchros, anything with the transmission, because that transmission, if something's wrong with that gearbox, it's like $30,000 to replace. So I don't have that kind of money, and we are going to make sure that nothing happens to that transmission. But right now, we're gonna get to work, we're gonna get dirty, and we're gonna start taking all this apart. This is gonna be a long day. Look at that, there's so much room for activities. So everything on the back end is taken off, and you can see this twin turbo kit without the air to water intercooler and without the back bracing. It looks kind of cool. So I'm still not sure what size this is. It might be 50 or 60 millimeter twin turbos, but you can see inside, let's see if we can move these lines out of the way. You can see inside that all the vanes are in really good condition, and they actually don't have any shaft play here. It's very tight. There's no debris, there's no oil. These turbos are in great shape. But we have good news and we have bad news. So the bad news is that this is a little bit more complicated than I originally thought, but the good news is we can figure it out in any case, because this rat's nest has to all go away. Now, what I'm gonna do now is basically take off the turbo kit. I have to take out the oil, which is well, it's located in here. This is the oil tank, and I also have to drain the engine oil from the block, and I also have to drain the transmission fluid. Now, the transmission fluid, the gear oil, is actually circulated via this hose, and it goes into a cooler up front. So this is actually the first manual transmission that I've seen that has an active cooler that's really, well, pardon the pun, cool. So I'm going to be taking all that off. I'm going to be making sure that there are no fluids in the engine or the transmission. And I'm also going to be making sure that the battery terminal, the negative battery terminal, is off, because I'm going to be taking off the starter. I'm also going to be taking off the twin turbos themselves, along with all the piping. Now, if you look in kind of the deep annals of the engine bay, then you see that pipe, and it leads to the basically what is the exhaust manifold. And I just unbolt. I can't even talk today. I unbolt that from there. It's just a V-band flange, super easy to one bolt, and the same on the other side. You could probably see that a little better. That bolt is a little bit on the rusty side, but that should be okay. And then this should be off. And then after removing this bad boy right here, and also removing this frame. Then we take out the axles, which are right there. That's what I'm focusing on. So the axles, one right there and one down there somewhere. And it should be relatively easy. It just has some weird nuts that we have to undo. But all this stuff is getting super simplified. There are fuel lines, there are transmission fluid lines, there are vacuum lines, and all this stuff is going bye-bye. I'm going to make a new diagram with basically everything that I need and everything that I don't. I'm just throwing away and making sure that this is all going to be super simple and super clean. Actually, before I do that, I just wanted to let you know that I found out what kind of turbos these are. These are Borg-Warner EFR 8374s, and they make between, well, they can flow between 450 and 750 horsepower each. So that means that, yeah, these guys are no joke. These are like $1,500 each. So an interesting thing about these turbos is that it's basically an all-in-one system. They are internally wastegated, meaning that it controls its boost quite well. It doesn't need an external gate. And if you guys noticed, I didn't have any blow-off valves coming off of the intake. And the reason why is because this has an internal blow-off valve. So a blow-off valve's job in a turbo is to release the excess pressure when you shut the valves, shut the throttle bodies right there, and all that boost pressure that's still going in the turbo, that has to go somewhere. So that actually backs up into here, and that recirculates into the turbo, and it makes sure that the really high-strung components on the inside aren't getting pummeled by the weird change in pressure. So that's actually really ingenious. So it's an all-in-one solution. Basically, you just strap it on and connect some vacuum lines, and it's good to go. Let me stop rambling and get to work. Alright, so don't let the fact that I'm wearing another shirt let you think that this is another day. This is in fact the same day. It isn't. It isn't actually. It is a new day, and we still have a lot of work left to do on the Lamborghini, but we have got a lot of progress done. So take a look at this. So it is completely taken apart. The only thing I have to do is loosen the trans bolts right there, and then we shall just take it out. Now, as far as taking everything out, it's actually really simple. It's just a little time consuming just because all these hoses and wires and all that stuff is in the way. Once you get out of the way, it's really straightforward, simple. The axles are super easy to get to. They're just these hex bolts, and they're really easy to maneuver around. There's nothing, as far as a Volkswagen or Audi, this is actually really one of the best platforms to work on, especially when you take off all this stuff and there's so much room for activities. But there's a few ways you can take this transmission out. Now, the way that Lamborghini wants you to do it is with an engine hoist, and you just hoist it up and lift it out the back. That's the way we're gonna do it today. Now, you can probably get a jack from under the bottom and then kind of maneuver it, but you run into this issue. You run into the aluminum frame here, and that is, yeah, we can't move it back that much. And also, this thing weighs like 225 pounds, so I was thinking maybe I can just kind of deadlift it and take it out, but I don't think you guys want to see me talk about my Lamborghini from my bed because I blew my back out. So at the moment, I don't have a working engine hoist, but I just bought one from Harbor Freight. So if I didn't explain it well enough, my transmission does not shift into gear when the car is running. Now, it shifts into gear just fine when the car is off, but I want to find out why that is. So it leads me to believe that it's a pressure issue with the hydraulic assembly, with the slave cylinder, with the throwout bearing, that sort of thing. But it could be realistically three things. So number one is the clutch. The clutch itself is a very, very expensive part. The clutch itself, for something that would hold 1,000 to 1,200 horsepower, that would cost around $8,000. So I really, really hope that our clutch is okay. Number two is it could be the slave cylinder, like I just mentioned. Now, the slave cylinder and the throwout bearing, they're one piece. And on this, on the 6-speed manual, it's $4,500 to replace it. Now, there is a lower cost, more affordable option by High Tech Exotic, and they take the E-gear throwout bearing and they modify it for the 6-speed, and that should be around $1,000 to $1,500. That is kind of getting off lately if that's our issue. But what I really hope is the free option. And a free option is just that the installers didn't know how to put this clutch on, and one of the discs is just backwards. And when the disc is backwards, it doesn't disengage. So hopefully that's the issue. We're gonna find out now. I'm gonna first build that real quick, and then we're gonna take this off. And well, in any case, we're gonna see some stuff, and we'll see if I cry or laugh or both. I don't know. At this point, this car is just an emotional roller coaster. I'm. All right, look at that. The trans is out, and let's take a look at what we got in here. So this is the $4,500 piece, and it looks actually a little worse for wear. A little bit wet over there. I'm not sure if that's from me trying to bleed it off camera or something else, but yeah, it doesn't look in the best shape. Probably could use a spruce up. So any of you that know about these cars, can you tell me if this is good or not? I mean, seems fine, doesn't make any noise, but yeah, this might be the culprit, but I don't see any telltale signs. But what we will see is this clutch. Now, this was an upgraded clutch. It's a spec clutch. As you can see, it's a spec right there. And this is a multi-disc clutch, and it's actually not in very good shape. You can see that there's a bunch of corrosion, and yeah, we might be able to clean that up with a wire wheel, but I want to see if this is just installed improperly. So I'm going to take off all these Allen keys, or these Allen bolts right here, and then we should see if somebody installed it backwards, or if I need to buy a new one of these, which I really, really don't want to do. Well, as the old adage goes, I have good news and I have bad news. So let's start with the good news. Now, the good news is that I got the clutch out. I know what kind of clutch it is, and apparently everything is on the correct side, because spec clutches have cool little stickers that tell you flywheel side, and on the other side, it says the trans side. Now, this is a dual disc clutch. There are two discs, and there is a floater plate. This piece right here is the floater plate, and the discs engage with the floater plate, and also there's a flywheel on the back of this, and also right here. Now, what happened to mine is a little bit peculiar, because I see a lot of corrosion here. It's actually not in horrible shape as far as how worn out it is. I mean, you can definitely see some scoring right here, which is not great. But if you do this, see, this shouldn't be one piece. This should be three separate pieces. And you can see it basically welded itself together. It is just completely corroded and rusted. So this clutch might be toast. Yeah, that's a big setback, because clutches like this are very expensive. Now, I can probably contact Spec, and I know that clutches like these expensive ones, they can probably be rebuilt, so I want to see if maybe I can reach out to them, and they can do something with this. But This is just insane. I'm gonna see if I can pry this open just to see if we can get some separation. See, there's a little gap right there. We're going to go for it. Like air. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so that's one. And this is the second one. Let's see. There we go. There we go. Okay, so it actually is not that corroded. We might be able to machine this. If I take it to a lathe and they can just take off all this corrosion. Now, if any of you have had this problem before, if any of you have seen an issue like this, then please let me know how you fixed it. Is it something that I can do at home? That would be really cool if I could. Is it something that I'd have to take it to a machine shop? Because I know that these things are balanced, but I don't know if taking off that corrosion would unbalance it. I don't know if it's actually that much, but yeah, I really want to know because this is the only thing that's keeping my car from potentially running. So yeah, so that is a bit of a result. All right, so that was actually a lot of fun. It wasn't that hard. I mean, I did have to sweat a little bit. I got really dirty and greasy. My garage is a complete mess, but I finally worked on my Lamborghini and took out the transmission, and I believe the dealership calls for about 15 hours to get to this point. And we got here in about 6, I'd say, over 2 days, of course, but we got it done. And we figured out what the problem was. Definitely is that clutch. So I'm gonna see what I can do about that. If you guys have any leads, feel free to let me know. I'm always very receptive to your comments and your insight. So I might skip tomorrow's video just because I have to clean this garage. This garage is a complete mess, and it's gonna take me about a full day to figure where everything goes. Now, I have been categorizing my bolts because there's a ton of bolts, a ton of screws, a ton of fasteners, all that stuff. I've been putting things back where they belong for the most part, but the things I can't put back, I just categorize them. I put them in little cubbies, and it makes things so much easier when things have to go back. But if you'd like to contact me for any reason, you want to tell me if the car is your dream car and you've always wanted to do this in your garage, or you're gonna tell me how crazy I am for attempting something like this, then you can reach me at TheRealTavarish. That is Instagram and Twitter. Facebook.com/AskTavarish and AskTavarish@gmail.com is my email. I read every single one. But until next time, this is me telling you that on cars like this that don't have any transmissions anymore, you guys need to wrench every day.